Hare Krishna. God is present in our hearts, but our consciousness is not present there. Sometimes people say, why do we need to go to a temple? God is there in our hearts, we can just remember Him and worship Him in the heart. Yes, God is present in our hearts, but is our consciousness present there? Our consciousness comes from the soul, which is present in the area of the heart, but the focus of our consciousness presently is outwards. It is towards the world, because we are attached to worldly things, and because of this attachment we constantly contemplate on and get attracted to worldly objects. And because our consciousness is externally directed, we cannot perceive the presence of God in our hearts. Purusha prakritistho hi bhungte prakritijan gunan karanam gunasangosya sadasad yoni janmasu. In 13.22 Krishna says, Purusha prakritistho hi, the soul is situated in material nature. Bhungte prakritijan gunan, because of the desire to enjoy worldly objects, and this entangles the soul. So now the way out for the soul is both inwards and outwards spiritualization. So just as a child who is caught watching a television, the mother may be sitting right next to the child, but the child is so caught in, say, watching some cartoon or watching some horror movie, the child doesn't even realize the mother is there. Similarly, we don't realize that Krishna is right next to us in our own hearts. So when the Bhagavad Gita talks about spiritualizing our consciousness, it tells us, Manmana bhav mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyosi me. The first half of this verse is repeated twice in 9.34 and again in 18.65. What we quoted was 18.65. And Krishna says, Manmana. Yes, we have to think of Him internally. So internal recollection is essential, but it is not just a mechanical recollection, it has to be a devotional recollection. Bhavamad bhakto, cultivate a devotional disposition towards the Lord. And how does one do this? Madhyaji, to worship Him. And Mam namaskuru, offer our obeisances to Him. Now yaji and namaskuru, worship, require some form to be worshipped, some external object which we worship. Even if we say, okay, we'll worship internally, but namaskuru is a physical action. So this is the culmination of the Bhagavad Gita, one of the crest jewel verses in the conclusion. And here also Krishna is telling a physical action, Maham Namaskuru, go to the temple and offer obeisances to the Lord. So this spiritualization of our consciousness requires that we go to external situations that are spiritual. Krishna is present in our hearts, but how often do we feel His presence? But when we go to a temple, when we go to a sacred place, or even when we go, if we have a temple room in our own home, when we go to a place where the externals are spiritualized, that external spiritual stimulus helps us spiritualize our consciousness. And especially when our consciousness is materially attached, which is what our consciousness is in the present material situation, we need the external spiritualization of our consciousness. And the more the spiritualization we take in externally, the more internally we will become spiritualized. So without this external spiritual stimuli, the inner spiritualization will be very superficial and very flickering. It will not be deep, it will not last long. Through the external spiritual stimuli, when we are exposed to them, then gradually those impressions will go internally, and then those impressions, when they become strongly impressed, then they will make the inclination of our consciousness spiritual. So that purification through the externally taken in inputs of spiritual consciousness, they will ensure that eventually when we are purified, when we are not in spiritual externals also, we will be able to have a spiritual internal consciousness. But by knowing that presently the consciousness is not internally in the heart, it is outerly in the world, we need to go to places where Krishna is also manifested externally. Thank you. Hare Krishna.